Hello everyone, how are you all doing? My name is Juliet. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a simple top. The picture is going to be on this post. Here I have my fabric on fold using the biggest measurement, which is the hip, divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease and 1 inch of allowance, and then the length of my blouse plus 1.5 inches. I did the same thing for both the front and the back. So I'm placing them on top of each other now. Next, I marked the shoulder divided by 2. I came down a bit and marked the same thing, shoulder divided by 2. And then I marked the armhole, which is 8 inches. The armhole I'm working with is 8 inches. I'm connecting the lines like so. So I also curved the armhole, as you can see. Next, I'm marking the neck. I'm marking 3 inches here, which is going to be my neck width. Marking 3 inches, and then marking 3 inches down as well. So the neck is going to be 3 by 3 for the front. So that is it for the front neck. The back neck is going to be 1 inches. So I'm marking 1 inch, as you can see. I'm going to curve that like that. Next, I'll be marking the shoulder slope. I marked 1/2 inches and I connected that to the 3 inches mark. After that, I'm marking my half length, which is 17 inches, and then my hip line, which is 24 inches. When I say my, just know that is the measurement I'm working with. Now I'm marking the round. This is the bust divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease, the waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease, and the hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease. I'm connecting the lines like so. I went back to mark 1 inch of allowance on the bust, the half length, and the hip line. 1 inch of allowance. So now I'm just going to make like an S curve to that hip line like so. The top has a curve on the down part like that. So I'm cutting the back neckline first of all, then the shoulder slant, and then the armhole, and then the allowance, the same allowance line I drew. I'm also cutting the curve on the down part like so. This is what the blouse is looking like so far. So I'm taking out the back piece and I'm going to cut out the front neckline now. And there you have it. So after cutting out, I'm measuring around the armhole like this. I'll be using that to cut the sleeve. So whatever I got there, I'll use it to fold my sleeve. Let's say I got 9.5. I'm going to use 9.5 to fold my sleeve. So cutting that out. That's for one sleeve. I'll do the same for the second sleeve. So that's it. And then the length of my sleeve, I'm working with 7 inches. That's including the allowance. So the length here is 7 inches. I'm coming down by 4 inches. I'm going to curve it like this to form the sleeve. Just make a curve like that. Yeah, so I'm measuring the curve now to get the same thing I got when I measured the armhole. So that is it right there. Then I'm marking my sleeve round divided by 2, and then I'm marking extra 1 inch for allowance. I'll be connecting that 1 inch to the line on the curve part like that, and I'm cutting it out. So I'll be cutting the facing now. I'm using a lining piece. You can use the same fabric if you have enough. So I'm going to be placing the front piece on the lining piece, making sure the folded edge of the front piece is on the folded edge of the lining. So I'm tracing out the neckline and the shoulder line like so, after which I marked 3.5 inches there. I marked 3.5 inches round like so, and then I cut out. And that is the front facing. Now for the back piece is going to have an opening at the back about 5 inches. So I'm doing the same thing, placing the folded edge on the lining and then tracing out the neckline and then the shoulder line like so. After which I'm going to mark 8 inches on this side since we'll have 5-inch opening. Then I mark 3.5 on this shoulder side, and then I'll connect the lines. I'll be cutting that out like so. So I'm going to take all these pieces to the machine now and fold all of them. I'll be folding the facing only once while I fold the rest of them twice. So after folding, I'm going to be turning the necklines with the facing now. So here's the front piece. I'm going to place the facing on the right side. So the right side of the shirt and the right side of the facing. So I'm pinning the necklines like so. I'll go and sew it using 1/2 inch. So that is for the front. For the back, however, is going to have an opening about 5 inches long. So I'm still placing good face on top of good face, facing and main fabric. I'll pin round the neckline up, as you can see. And then I'm going to pin down the center as well. First of all, draw a line at the center. Already I have a crease, so I know where the center is. So I'm going to make a mark there. Measure 5 inches down, and then I'll pin that point too. So I'm going to sew round the neckline and then down that line, back up, and then over to the other side of the neckline, forming like a sharp V down there. So after sewing the facing to the neckline, I'm going to be notching it now. Just make a cut, but don't pass your sewing. Cut very close to it, but not pass it. So I'll iron that down. That's for the front. Then for the back, I'm going to be notching it as well, and then cutting through that sewing like that. Going to turn it over to the wrong side and then iron it nicely. So I've ironed it, and this is what it's looking like. So I'm going to place the front on top of the back. So placing the front on top of the back like so, shoulder to shoulder. I hold the shoulders together and then lift one of the facings and turn it to the other side. I'm going to pin that down first and go and sew it with 1/2 inch. The same thing, match the shoulders together, lift one facing, turn it to the opposite side and pin. Go and sew that with 1/2 inch. So I've joined the shoulder and I also glued down the facing to the main fabric using hemming gum. I also added a hook at the top of the back. I used the tiny hook, the brown hook. So now I'm pinning the front on top of the back like so. Making sure everything is aligning properly. So now I'll be applying my measurements. So here I am marking the bust measurement divided by 2 plus 2 inches of ease. So I'm starting from that line I made earlier when I was marking initially. The line is still there, so I just start from that point and then I'm marking my waist divided by 2 plus 2 inches of ease. And down here I'm marking the hip divided by 2 plus 2 extra inches for ease. So what I did here was that I didn't add the extra inches for the ease, so I went back to correct it. That's why you see me marking this twice. So after making my corrections, I'll just go and sew on the 2 lines, both sides. I've joined and ironed the seams, and now I'll be measuring my armhole again. This time around with my seams sewn and the fabric on the outside. I'm going to be measuring what I got there on my sleeve like this, and I will mark that. Then I'll mark my sleeve round divided by 2 at that point. Connect the lines and I'll go and sew on those lines like that. I'm measuring what I got on my armhole there. Then this is my sleeve round and I'm connecting the lines. I'll go and sew them. So I've sewn the sleeves and I also ironed them. So next up, I'll be pinning the side seam of the sleeve to the side seam of the top, right sides to right sides, as you can see. I'll be folding the seam allowances away. That way you can lift your hand without your whole top following you. Then I'll pin the shoulder to the shoulder of the top to the center of the sleeve like so, right sides to right sides. I'll pin it all the way around and I'll go and sew it all the way around using 1/2 inch allowance. I'll be doing the same thing to the second sleeve. Match the side seams together first, fold the seam allowances out of the way, and then match the shoulder to the center of the sleeve, right sides together, pin round, and I will go and sew with 1/2 inch allowance. And here you have it. Thank you for watching, and until the next time. Bye bye.